And Kyle, we're live.
Well, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and happy homecoming to everybody watching out there. My name is Kyle Parsons. I'm the alumni director here at Breck, and I am just about through my first year. So very happy to be with all of you wearing my blue and gold. Glad to see some other friends wear their blue and gold tonight. And just really excited for this brand new event we're trying. And in a year that is unlike anything else we've seen at Breck, we continue to adapt and try to find new and fun ways to connect. So today, on what we are calling Breck Connection Day, we thought it would be a great opportunity to talk to some of the leadership at the school and some of the people who care most about this community, and to connect with our alumni and anyone else, our current families, our students, anybody who loves and cares about Breck. We wanted to get in front of you and just share a couple words about where we are and what we're up to. So with that, I have two distinguished Breck leaders with us, two people who are helping to guide and steward our community right now. I'm going to let them introduce themselves. Natalia, do you want to go ahead?
Sure. Well, first of all, thanks, Kyle, for doing this. I mean, even though you're only in your first year, I think you've learned pretty quickly how important homecoming is to Mustangs. It is a huge deal. And so however we can fill in the gaps that our current situation is creating, we're super grateful. So welcome, everybody. Thanks for coming and tuning in. My name is Natalia Rico Hernandez. I am the head of school. I've been at Breck since July of 2017. And I'm super proud to be the head of school at Breck. I have some connections to Breck that I thought might be fun to share. My oldest daughter, my husband and I, our oldest daughter, Gabby, is an alum, graduated in 2019. Our current Breck student daughter is a sophomore. Her name is Andy. And my husband, Bobby, does coach for Breck. He coaches football and baseball, and I'm sure the kids think he's a much more popular guy around campus than I am, which is perfectly fine with me. So those are, my connections to Breck. Really glad to be here. Thanks for setting this up, Kyle. Chris, I think it's your turn.
My turn. Well, thanks, Natalia. And your husband, Bobby, I will say you missed, is also the super fan, I think, at Breck as well. So I know that's for sure the case. Hi, everybody. Chris Welsh, class of 1990. And I am the parent of Sophie, who is an 8th grader this year. And also on the board of trustees. In fact, this year I'm the president of the board, and I think that's the first time that's happened in quite some time. We've had 2 prior alum presidents, but that was back in '77 and '81 with Timothy Hitchcock and George Johnson, respectively. So we must really do well with Breck grads. They must be super smart, because it's been 30 years since there was somebody, like me, that actually agreed to do it. So I think that speaks for itself. Anyway, I'm glad to be here.
I love it. Well, I hope the alumni community can see. In my first year here, I thought Chris's appointment was top of the agenda for me. So now I can get on. Just kidding. I had nothing to do with it. But Chris, I'm so glad you're in this role and representing us. This is a great moment to have both the head of school and president of the board of trustees together, because like I said, you are people who really care about Breck, and I think can speak to the fact that this is a special community. I'll say, as somebody who just joined in the past year, I joined because I felt that, right? I think this is a wonderful learning community and a special place for children. Can you two talk a little bit about what is sort of special about Breck? And specifically right now, if you're somebody who's been away for years, what makes Breck great right now?
You want me to start, Chris? Sure, I'll start. So I thought about this question in 2 different ways. Like, I thought about what is it that I love about Breck first? Like, how did I get to Breck? How did I come here? What is it that I loved about Breck when I first learned about Breck and visited? So I'll share that first. And so the first 3 things that stood out for me, really importantly, to start, I've been in education since 1993. So that's a long time. And so I have had the opportunity of working in lots of different kinds of schools and being an educational leader since 1998. Oh my gosh, the math, right? For a long time anyway. And so I've really had a chance to develop my educational philosophy. And when I came to Breck, what I saw was a school that really matched that. And that's such a gift for anybody who wants to be ahead of school. And what I saw was, it was like, oh my gosh, this is what I always thought school could be, right? It's a place that really understood the totality of a human being and the growth of a full human being, and everything that that means. And it really understood that academic rigor, academic excellence is not in opposition to care and concern. It's actually because we care for children at Breck that they live up to that excellence, and that real academic intellectual curiosity and inquiry that we strive for. So that's just in the ethos at Breck, the sort of understanding the whole child, understanding the totality of it. So I absolutely love that. I knew right away when I met the faculty, so faculty is the second thing, that the faculty has this relentless sort of commitment to our students and our school. It is like their whole soul is in the work. And then the thing that I have really learned to love, I've never been at an Episcopal school before Breck, but our Episcopal identity, those are all things that I really love about Breck. And so the second part of your question, like now, what I feel like as a leader, and there's so many Breck alumni and parents out there who are leaders in their own right. So I think this may resonate. What we're finding in this moment of COVID and the complexities around COVID and a pandemic, and the resurgence of commitment and care, the delayed reckoning around racial justice and just justice in general, and really thinking about what that means for our society and for our children. All of the essence of an organization is amplified right now. And so our strengths are amplified, our weaknesses, our challenges are amplified. And so in this moment, what I love about Breck is truly amplified. And with Chris's partnership and the board's partnership, what I love about Breck is we're taking it all. We're taking it all. We're taking every challenge that comes to us with the context of our mission to make decisions and move forward. So when COVID hit, as a school, we created a design team. We created a compliance team. We got to work on what the fall was going to look like. We embraced it. As we hear stories about alumni who had difficult circumstances and experiences at Breck, whether it's through the Black at Breck Instagram or phone calls or emails or whatever it is, we want those stories. We want to be better. We're proud of our alumni. And so I love that at Breck, we are embracing the moment and leveraging our strengths to be better.
Thank you, Natalia. How about you, Chris?
Thanks, Natalia. That was, yeah, I mean, so these are, the question about what about right now is a bit unique, right? Because the world is sort of in a bizarre place on many fronts, as Natalia said. But I think Breck was sort of made for this moment. If I give a little bit of historical perspective, just because I'm an alum and I've been around this place a little bit in various roles as a student, as a parent, and now as a board member, I'm really proud of the school. It's an academic institution that really strives for critical thinking and intellectual curiosity. And it's a sort of moments like now when we're in uncharted territory where that really presents itself. And I see that across the lower, the middle, the upper school, sort of age appropriate, challenging these kids to talk about the times and talk about what's going on in the world. And that curiosity just shines through. It's something.
Oh, I think you froze there for a second, Chris.
Did I? Is it working now? Okay.
Yeah, you're back.
All right. Yeah, no, that is for me what I really enjoy seeing is that has carried through over the years. It's something that puts us in a good spot to really now say, all right, what are the next steps? How do we get through this time? And how do we come out of that stronger and better? That is the Breck mantra. And that is held true, shines through today. And that's what I'm really proud of.
I love that. And I think it actually sets me up for what I wanted to ask you all next, which is, talked a little bit about where we are today and the unique circumstance. I mean, just look at this homecoming. This is a different time right now. But I think who better to ask than you school leaders about what's the vision for the future? Where is Breck going? What are we striving for? What are we hoping to accomplish in the lives of these young people?
Yeah, let me jump in here first this time, Natalia, and just talk a little bit about with the question you asked there, Kyle, for the future. At least from a strategic standpoint, I can talk to that, which is that's where the board partners with Natalia, right? We want to make sure that the board that we have has a very, very broad set of experiences associated with it, which is really lends itself to thinking about the future and not just assuming, but asking a bunch of questions from all different angles. And where the board has landed on that, and I should also add, the perspective of alumni really matters too. Always, yeah, even though it's been a while since there's been an alumni president, we always have at least a handful of alum on the board. And this year we have 3 new alum on the board. Allison O'Toole, class of '89, a good friend of mine. And then we have Matt Hemsley, class of '97, and Andrew Dayton, class of 2002. And then we always, have our lifetime member, Lee Anderson, class of '57. That makes sure that all of our strategic thinking also, the alum always raise their hand and go, well, let's not forget there's a reason why we do this. So it also provides some context to all of our decisions. And so what I think is really cool, even in trying times, the board, because of that good, rigorous conversation, we push each other. And we come out of that, like I said earlier, stronger, where the head of school and the board is 100% aligned. I mean, this has been pressure tested through and through. And because of the trust that we have, the breadth of experience we have, we try to look at all the angles. And I think that's what gives me confidence that the school is always moving in at least the right direction. We're going to get stuff wrong all the time, but that allows us to pivot, but we're just pivoting. We're not actually turning all the way around and going in a different direction. There's a lot of people that say, let's go fast and let's go far. Well, we ask on the board, yeah, but let's make sure we know where we're actually going too, so we don't end up fast and far in the wrong direction. So I think that's something that I'm really confident about the future of Breck for sure.
Thanks, Chris.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. And the partnership is so important. I mean, you go, to any independent school across the country, and they will tell you that the board head partnership is just, it's critical. It's critical to a school, and never is that more true than in crisis like our country is seeing right now. That there is consistency, and that you have the strength and the courage and the trust to push each other. So thanks, Chris. I agree 100%. I'm super fortunate also because I get to think about the vision of our school in its day-to-day and how we get to where we want to be, in the next 50 years. And the other thing I'm really fortunate about is that I'm, starting year 4 at Breck, right, in this moment. And so I feel more known. I feel like we've had a chance to build that trusting relationship. I feel like I know the faculty, feel like I know the alumni better now, and have had a chance to connect with lots of different generations of alumni. So just knowing the place better in this moment, I think I'm really grateful for. And so, there are heads of school who become head of school, and the board really needs them to transform the place, to fix some big deficiency, or to develop a vision that's going to save them from financial ruin or whatever it is. And that just wasn't the case, Kyle, for us at Breck. And the thinking that I've been doing a lot about the vision that we have is truly to show our alumni and our current families that we are living up to our mission as it has been developed, as it was intended to be, that we are going to be an authentic organization that lives its mission with integrity, and that we're going to face and embrace every moment with that integrity. The vision for me is that we are going to be known by ourselves, by our own community, locally, in the region, in the Midwest, and nationally, as the school that lived up to its mission and was able to accomplish everything other schools are trying to accomplish in this moment. My vision is that we will accomplish exactly what we've been set out to do, and for every child. So it's kind of exhilarating. It's really exhilarating that we don't, the board and I don't have to come up with what's the next great thing, right? The next great thing is providing the community that we all strive for, right? It's living into our Episcopal identity. It is that academic program of excellence and innovation and challenging thinking. It's all of those things that make Breck and living up to that. And so, these are challenging times. And I think it's important to shout out everybody who's currently at Breck. So if you're a faculty and staff member at Breck right now, if you're a current parent, if you're a current student at Breck, and you're doing the things and you're keeping us going and you're living up to your end of the bargain, and you have my promise that we'll live up to ours, and we're just committed to carrying our mission forward.
And I love to hear it, and I think it's such an appropriate kind of direction for where I was going. I wanted to talk about the mission because, when we talk about our alumni, we say our alumni are our mission outside of the school, living in the world. And so, I would just love to hear how you see our alum community sort of living out that social mission out in the world and creating positive change. And I would love to hear that from either and both of you as we sort of think about how we better connect with that community and make people remember that Breck is always home and we always are thinking about these people.
Yeah. So one thing that really resonated with me this year was when we had to go to the hybrid model, meaning some of our students are at home for a couple of days a week, and some of the students are then at school physically, right? So the class is split into two in the middle and the upper school, and that really is a tough model to manage through. And I don't think most schools, unless they're forced to do it, would even contemplate doing that. And that's the reality that we're in. And that means we needed some help. I mean, this year, a teacher who normally has enough on their hands now has students in two different places, and there's just a lot of going on. You got to manage technology. And we knew that the hybrid model is not a cost-effective model. It's, in fact, the most expensive model we could conceive, but it's what we had to do. And one of the things we needed was more faculty. We needed some teachers' assistants. We needed some people to come in and help the teachers. And the coolest thing ever was that a large number of those are alum. And that just made the transition seamless, because not only did we get that service mentality where I want to get back, I want to come to the school, they had that rich context. They already were comfortable with the school. This was their place. And that's really resonating with the students too. I mean, it's always been a strength of ours to have, preschool to 12th grade on the same campus, so we can look up to people. But now you've got alum on there too, a good number of them. And if we were a company, our product would be alum, right? That's what Breck produces. And so for students to see that in action, it's been really cool.
Can I just tag on there, Chris? I'm so glad you said it. I was just going to point out, I try to connect with anybody who's a new colleague, but I've been especially attuned to these alums who are back and who are on campus. And we really hired a lot of people. And I just can't tell you how cool it is. The students absolutely love it. And our alums, I can't tell you. I was just talking to Wes Iverson the other day, and he was like, so much has changed. He graduated in 2012. He's like, we did not have this, and we were not doing this. And I wish I had me, which I thought was a very funny sentiment. But you're not wrong about that student connection piece. It's been pretty cool. And I know our alums who are back and are on staff are genuinely feeling that sense of homecoming, that, it's great to be back. So anyways, Natalia, I'd love to hear your response as well.
I've got so much in my head. I know. I love listening to Chris talk about it because he is an alum. I mean,
Yeah.
that he's living into it, right? He's everything, our board members, it's all service. It's volunteer work and that kind of commitment that is what is born when you come to Breck. I say this all the time that, at Breck, we don't see success as a pie. That actually what our kids learn from coming to Breck is that when your community is successful, you as an individual are more successful and vice versa. That it's, there's a mutually beneficial gain in serving and in supporting your community. And that's what I see in our alum. I think I'd be remiss if I didn't start by congratulating Dr. Hardiman, Dr. Rachel Hardiman, who is this year's 2020. Yay, Rachel! Distinguished alumni. She got the Distinguished Alumni Award. Rachel's from the class of '98, and she's also a parent. And so I think there's something very, very special about independent schools across the country, like Breck, where we see so many alumni bring their children back, right? Because it's one thing for your parents to choose a school from you. We have lots of lifers, right? It's one thing for your parents to choose a school for you. There's nothing more precious in our lives than our own children. And so for alumni to bring their children back to Breck is the ultimate display of affection for the campus where they lived their time and learned and grew. And so, I do think that we get a lot of benefit from seeing alumni parents, alumni faculty come back to our community and give back. That doesn't take away from the amazing things that alumni are doing across the country. So pre-COVID, you'll see this, Kyle, I promise one day, the alumni director and I get to travel the country as I either go to a conference or I always schedule visits with alumni. So New York City, shout out to our New York City alumni, DC, those of you who, came and had a happy hour with me in DC, alumni in DC, LA, Chicago. So, we've got alumni everywhere doing amazing things for themselves, for their families, for their communities, people who really take the gifts and talents that we talk about, the individual gifts and talents that we talk about at Breck, and apply them to the greater good for those around them. And we see that all over the place. Chris already mentioned, but I my own personal thank you to Lee Anderson, Allison O'Toole, Matt Hemsley, Andrew Dayton, and the countless other leadership at Breck who are also alumni who contribute to the school.
That's and Natalia, you mentioned all of the alum all around and pre-COVID. One of the things that is great too is not just the visits to the cities nationally, but when Breck alum go on, or Breck students go on trips abroad, the world's really become a smaller place, and Breck is in different, has alum in different cities all around too, and that is just it shows that intellectual curiosity leads you to paths that it's really a privilege to go to Breck, right? Because coming out of that, you have opportunities that you wouldn't otherwise have, and that is earned. That is something that Breck really pushes, and that makes for interesting stories. So my next push for everybody and all the alums on here is reach out to Kyle. Kyle is new, doesn't know you guys yet. He's learning. So reach out to him, introduce yourself, and I promise you, he's going to ask you enough questions that he's going to try and convince you to be posted on the alumni news, right? Just to get the word out.
That's absolutely right. I love it, and I think that's a great place for us to kind of wrap tonight. But I so appreciate that plug from you, Chris, because I said in my first year, my goal is just to learn the community. And that's not going to change in my second and third year, but I genuinely want to connect with these people. And I loved in what both of you were saying, there's this piece of so many folks wanting to connect back to Breck. And, it's been with their good news, sometimes with their sad and hard news that they want to share in the community. Sometimes it's been to ask questions of us, sometimes critical questions, all of it. But almost every Breck conversation I've had, there's this sense of gratitude and this, I got so much from being a part of the community. Sometimes that's why people say I hold Breck to a high standard, because I know what a special place it can be. And I genuinely love that. And I just say again and again, I feel privileged to work with people who really care about this place. You know, it is a group that truly cares. So with that, I will open it up to you two. I swear, no more questions after this one. I'm shutting us down, but just, is there anything else that you would share about that importance of connection, or any last word you'd want to impart on this homecoming week to our alums?
Well, I mean, I'm going to selfishly say, being in the class of 1990, this was supposed to be my 30th year reunion, right? And we we made the tough call of postponing it, but that doesn't mean you can't still reach out to one another in between years, or even in these times. We're all connected now. The world's a smaller place, not just because we travel places pre-COVID, but now we're all connected, and there's no excuse. We all have to learn this new technology, right? And so, yeah, the in-person reunions are fun, but just reaching out and staying in touch with one another is great too, because again, we learn from each other. My dad always used to say that if you're not networking, you're not working. You can always, create opportunities for yourself by talking to other Breck community members, for sure. Natalia?
That's great, Chris. I couldn't agree more. It is coming to Breck is so much more than, reading, math, science. That's such an important part of what our kids learn. Our kids are high achievers. Alumni know this. They're high achievers. Their parents are looking for, I always say this: teaching and learning is our core technology. And we know that achieving those heights of intellectual curiosity is better served when we have, self-knowledge and a commitment to social responsibility. And that's who our alumni are. I was looking at, I wrote a philosophy statement for education a long time ago, and it has evolved. But the very end of it says, it was aspirational, wrote it a long time ago, and the very end of it says, I want to be part of a community where the alumni's ambition for themselves is bettered only for their ambition for future generations. And I truly believe that that's what our Breck alumni want for our school, right? Is that they will be bested by that, by their future generations. We have a national presence at Breck, and so the connections that you were just talking about, Chris, are should be leveraged. It's a community, and it's a community beyond graduation. So it's that first grade senior buddy. Find your senior buddies, find your first graders, keep those connections going. That's what makes Breck Breck.
I love it. I thank you both for your time. I think this is a special opportunity, and this event, which somebody else dreamed up, Brian Sobas, not me, said, I think it would be a great time during this week where we always gather and get together to have a word about where we are in our community. Even if we can't, be in the same room, it doesn't mean we can't be together. So it is great. Thank you for the connection. Thank you for the opportunity to chat today. And I just hope everybody who's watching and listening will feel that that push to connect. And I always say, alums, your old teachers want to hear from you. Hit up your classmates. And if you got nobody else, give me a call. I'd love to hear from you. With that, good night, Natalia. Good night, Chris. Thanks so much.
Good night, everyone.
See ya.